And welcome back to your LSU Football Fix. It's been a long off season, but I'm so excited to be back with the show. We've got some new sponsors. We've got some new guests. We've got a new football coach. We've got a lot of new players, probably more new faces around the LSU football program this year than we've seen in my lifetime. That's for certain. Um, it's gonna be interesting to see what's going on. So for today's show, the emphasis I'm gonna take the shows before the season. I'm gonna talk about a unit with each of them. We got about 4 shows before we kick off and start talking about the games. I'm going to talk special teams. The plan is, and barring nothing monumental, crazy popping up next week, we'd be talking about defense night and then offense the week before, the week after that. So today we've got a very special guest coming on. I figured I would spend some time talking about special teams guys, but who better to bring on than the special teams coach himself? So today I'm excited to bring on LSU special teams coach and recruiting coordinator, Brian Polian. So y'all stick around a little bit. I'm going to talk to him and then give my insight, because my insight doesn't matter. Brian Polian's does. So if y'all have something you want to talk about, throw it in the chat. We'll discuss. I assume, maybe a special teams conversation can't last a full 60 minutes. But I am excited to talk a little bit about our sponsors. Of course, thank you to Tramonte's for returning as our title sponsor once again this year. Tramonte's does the best specialty meats, but they also do, all your catering, tailgating, homegating needs. They're locally owned, of course, great for the community. He does a ton of work sponsoring all sorts of stuff in the community. That's one of the cool things is half my or 2/3 of my sponsors are owned locally in Louisiana, and my third one, Dead Soxy, is actually owned locally in Mississippi, not too far away. So I'm going to introduce the new sponsor is Celebrity Theaters. Now we'll go more in depth on them, but thank you for Celebrity Theaters to stepping up and supporting the show. Celebrity has been my favorite movie theater for, since Jesus was a baby, it feels like. And now I'm very excited to have them supporting the show, and I get to tell you more about them. And of course, Dead Soxy is back. So thank you to Dead Soxy. They sent me a package. I'll wait a little bit, but they sent me their new socks. So I don't know what's in that box. We're going to find out together later on in the show. But enough of all this, this sponsored talk. Let's talk some LSU football. Let's see here. Let's get some comments here. Who will be the punt returner? Stingley didn't do much the 2 years he did it. Well, that would imply he was there a full 2 years now, wouldn't it? Thank you for the comment. PCGINBIGD. I have no idea how to say that name. If you could reply with the phonetics behind it, appreciate the help. But that's a pretty interesting question. I'm interested to see what Coach Polian has to say about that. My mind goes to Malik Neighbors. But there's obviously a ton of guys with speed and talent on this team who could do it. Not to mention, do one of those grad transfer portal guys. Can they come in and give immediate production there? I don't know. We'll have to see. I'll tell you what. I'd be surprised if it's not one of the wide receivers, because the wide receiver core is deep this year. Is it Kashawn Butte? I would assume Kashawn Butte. They don't want to risk the injury, and he'll be a very pivotal part of the offense. Could it be a guy like Chris Hilton, who we know has some moves? Maybe a Jack Besh with his sure hands. We'll see. my money would go to Malik Neighbors. But hey, we've got the guy to ask. If anybody's going to know, he'll be one of them. Ant, my guy, glad to see you back. Appreciate you, Ant. Preston back in the building. That's right, guys. That's right. I had to take some time off in the off season. A football show can get kind of rough during those months. My buddy Stingray, what's up from Tuscaloosa? Hey, Stingray, what's going on? Thanks. Steven's a good fan of me. We got AYS Sports in the house. Blake Ruffino, man, we got the whole squad here tonight. Let's see here. You know, Ant, this is a very good point, actually. I thought about saying Landon Abieta. That'd be very good to get him in as a true freshman. He was a very good punt returner in high school last year. We'll have to see. I would love actually to get one of those very talented young guys on the field with a role like that. That's another very good one there. Nice to have you back, Preston. But if it's not one of those wide receivers, I'll be surprised because I don't necessarily see any of the running back guys as guys who would be great kick returners. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, sue me. But there's just so many wide receivers. You got to find ways to put the ball in their hands. There's just so many. Stingray, I'm going 8-4 for LSU this season. That's about where the consensus is. I've heard anything from 6-6, 7-5, 8-4, 7-5, 8-4 are probably the two most common. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm going to give my official season prediction week before season, but I'm interested to go position by position and break down. I hope y'all are excited to hear from Coach Polian today about the special teams groups. We'll have him in. Not to mention, my God, as a recruiting coordinator, how busy has that guy been? I mean, inheriting a roster with 39 players on scholarship that are healthy to play. I'm no math wizard, but let's see, 39 minus 85. That sounds to me a lot like you're going to have about 45 or so guys either coming off of injury or that are new to the team at a minimum. That doesn't even count your seniors who departed from the team and transfer guys who transferred out after as well. Mark Cumby, I need some LSU memorabilia on the wall. So here's the plan. I wanted to start this season with a blank, clean slate, okay, and ease in some memorabilia and props as we go. I thought it was funny last year how it started off with just a wall, and then I got this professional backdrop here, and we kind of really spiced it up as the season went on. But I tell you what, I got some memorabilia here in this box for DeadSoxy here. Probably that is going to go somewhere here. I don't know where, but I can't imagine I won't incorporate it. Mark Cumby says 10-2. Josh Williams. Ooh, I could see Josh Williams, but honestly, I mean, look, Josh Williams is a very serviceable player. I mean, if that's going to be your fourth or fifth back, and he's great in the role, I don't see him being more talented than a guy like, say, Malik Neighbors. But then again, Malik Neighbors might be so darn good as a wide receiver. I'm expecting Malik Neighbors will have a pretty good season as your number 2 receiver. That's what my prediction is. But of course, we all know number 2 receiver is pretty wide open. No pun intended there. We'll see. Y'all give my boy a like and share. Appreciate y'all. Remember, hit that like button. Make sure Mike Scarborough doesn't make fun of me after the show because mine doesn't get as many likes as his does. He loves talking about those likes for some reason. See, look. Mark J's right on board with me. Neighbors for punt. I think he's a dynamic athlete. It's just about whether or not he's too prolific in your offense, and you don't want to use him there. Heck yeah, Dead Soxy. That's right. I'm excited. One of the things that's cool about Dead Soxy as a sponsor is it's a cool product to show and talk about. It's fun. They do some fun stuff. Stingray, are you guys excited about Max Johnson leaving for A&M? That's a very good question. Y'all tell me in the chat. I have look, Max Johnson and his dad, and quite frankly, his younger brother, who was committed to LSU for a long time. They were all very good to me. They were all very respectful. quality people. They helped me out when I needed to do a story on them. When I needed information out of Brad would give it to me. I have no ill will toward the Johnsons, but look, that's I'm revealing my bias of I know them professionally, but you know I've spent time talking to them, so I have revealed my bias. I have broken the journalism no, but I don't bear any ill will toward any young man who decides to do what's best for him and his future. I just don't. the walking and talking thesaurus, aka Preston. That's right, guys. Y'all get ready for the floxy noxy hilly-pillifications. That, by the way, means a word that's unnecessarily long. We will continue to roll with those. That's part of the brand here on the LSU Football Fix. We use big words. Danny, what's up? I got all my Spaces crew in here, man. I'm glad to have y'all. I hadn't been able to do the Spaces quite as much. We're getting ready to have a baby this October. That's another big thing in my life. I'm excited that Will Blackwell has stepped up to, while I'll be out bringing a new human into the planet or assisting my wife bring a human into the planet, Will Blackwell has opted to host the show on my behalf during that time. I just hope y'all don't enjoy him more than you enjoy me. That would be very upsetting, but we'll see. We'll see. Will's great, good friend of the show for a long time. So yeah, bringing in a new human. I've been real busy. That's why we're doing it Monday night tonight. We've got like the whole birthing class thing, whatever, tomorrow night. So the first couple weeks are going to be Monday nights, not a Tuesday night like regularly scheduled. Let's see here. Congratulations. Thank you, Ant. Appreciate it, man. Doug knows. Doug didn't know this existed. Subscribed. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate that. The TigerBait YouTube channel is the fastest growing LSU content YouTube page out there, man. This page, we started maybe the YouTube page probably 18 months ago, and it has just grown tremendously. We're up to 12.6 thousand followers now. Can't tell you how much all those subscribes mean. And of course, y'all hit that like button on this video. Give the analytic gods what they want. Let's see here. Sitting here knowing what's truly on everyone's mind. The QB battle. Yeah, the QB battle is definitely going to be topic number one. It's going to be intense. Practice starts Thursday. I'm not going to touch on it other than to tell you that I've done 3 Twitter polls, one before spring practice, one after spring game. And then I did one last week before fall practice. Miles Brennan continues to own the silent majority. If I ask y'all to comment right now who you want to be your quarterback, I'm going to get a lot of Garrett Nussmeier and I'm going to get a lot of Jaden Daniels. Okay. Miles Brennan people will keep it to themselves, man. It's funny how he has the silent majority. He's consistently polled at or above 50%. Now, Nussmeier has grown with every poll. We'll just have to see, but we'll see. Hey, look, there's a Brennan fan. Maybe I'm wrong. Edward O. We got Coach O in the house. Maybe not. Maybe it's a different Edo. Let's go, Press. Appreciate you for watching the show. Congratulations on the baby. Thank you. I appreciate y'all's support. We got Miles. Oh my God, we got so many Miles Brennan people. I called you out for being silent, and it got you to talk. Maybe I should have done that. All right, guys, check this out. Baby guy is due during the bye week. We did it. We got the bye week, baby. Let's go. Let's see here. The best man for the job. Hey, that's what I'm pushing for here. Nussmeier. Yeah, see. All right. Well, y'all go ahead and comment. I'm not going to tackle too much more other than to let you know about that poll. I think it's the widest open it's been in a long time for those 3 guys. I don't think it's really open for Walker Howard. He needs time, and I don't think LSU fans want him. So I'm gonna get ready to roll straight into Coach Polian. He's backstage right now, but first I'm gonna tell y'all about Tramonte's. Tramonte's, of course, has stepped up as the title sponsor of the show once again. Remember, they are your homegating and tailgating headquarters for the 2022 season. I'm telling you, so I catered my nephew's first birthday party this weekend. And whether it was the chicken tenders, meat pies, man, anything you order there, it all comes out good. That's the thing, is you can just trust them to get it. They're going to get you plenty of food. No one's going to go hungry, and it's going to be a talk of whatever event. It's like, man, who did that food? It's good. So highly recommend their catering, tailgating, all that good stuff. Y'all let them know TigerBait sent you. We're working on a little bit, trying to, show our sponsors that they're getting their money's worth when they support TigerBait. So if y'all could return the favor for us, I would deeply appreciate that. Let's see here. They also have lunch deli open weekdays till about 3:00 or so. They are closed Monday, Sunday. So make sure to, pop in any other day of the week, and they'll have that rolling. They have a bourbon raffle they're doing currently. I know we have a lot of hardcore bourbon fans. So they're giving away, literally tens of thousands of dollars worth of bourbon. They're doing raffles for, so you can enter for a chance to win that. If you're looking for some upscale bourbon stuff, y'all go to Tramontes.com, check that out. And a meat sale is coming in August. The meat sales are crazy. You get super high quality meat, the best stuff around to impress people for your next grill. They don't have a date announced. They're kind of just teasing it right now. But anyways, it's coming. Y'all check it out. We're going to run the commercial, and then I'm going to bring Brian, bring him front stage, and we're going to hear from him. Let's see if I can remember how these buttons work, y'all.
Tramonte's has meat. Tramonte has seafood. Tramonte's has much more. Tailgating and homegating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap, and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tramontes.com.
And of course, coming up, as we've been talking about, I'm very excited to bring on our next guest, LSU special teams coach and recruiting coordinator, Brian Polian. Coach Polian, how's it going?
We're doing well. Appreciate you having me.
Good. So you're a big Midwest guy, and you are now been about, 6 or 7 months down here in the deep South. How is South Louisiana treating you, Coach?
Oh, it's been great. The people have been wonderful. That's the thing that sticks out is how welcomed my family feels here in Baton Rouge. Just being around the community, went to Geno's recently here in Baton Rouge for the first time. That was fantastic. It's been wonderful. Now I'm investing a lot in sunscreen and keeping hydrated because I'm not quite used to this heat, but other than that, we're doing great.
I bet you. I'm sure that heat coming up with fall camp, which starts August 4th. I'm sure that's going to be fun for you, although probably more fun for the players. Coach, you came into LSU with a team that had about 39 scholarship players for that bowl game. And so, I'm not the greatest mathematician in the world, but that to me tells me that you got about 45 players that are either new to this team or coming off of injury, right? Had you ever come into a team that needed that many, holes to fill as this LSU team that you came into?
No, that was completely uncharted territory, I think, for anybody around the program. That was a very unique situation. But I also think that it's not going to be that unusual moving forward in this day and age. If you go through a coaching change and with the transfer portal available to guys, unfortunately, I think that a lot of schools that go through transitions are going to see something similar to this. So then the challenge from the moment your feet hit the ground here is, helping to recruit players that are currently on the team to keep them to stay, to get reestablished with all the high school prospects that you're involved with, and then to discover others, and then to get into the portal and figure out where our needs are and start trying to address them that way.
Mm-hmm. And you guys, coaching staff wise, almost a complete clean sweep. I mean, yeah, you keep offensive line coach on staff, but everybody else basically brand new and behind the scenes, new strength and conditioning coach, and a lot of new personnel guys. And that's where I'm interested. The personnel guys, of course, that's not the same as it was 10, 15 years ago on the college level. How important have those guys, the Jordan Arsamas, the Sherman Wilsons of the world, how important have those personnel assistants been to getting your player management in this roster and set ready for SEC play?
Well, I think those guys are important, but at the very beginning, it started with J.R. Belton and Will Redmond. Those were the guys that were here. Jordan, Sherman, Corey, Sarah, Bryn, Destiny, all those people were added after the fact. So really, at the very beginning stages of this thing, it was Coach Kelly, Frank Wilson, myself, and then JR and Will. And we were, grinding through the portal and film and talking to guys. And the job that specifically JR Belton and Will Redmond did in terms of helping us hit the ground running when we got here, being prepared, giving us correct information, pointing us in the right directions. JR was fantastic from the recruiting end in terms of understanding all of our high school prospects and getting us prepared to host multiple weekends. And then Will and I work closely together on roster management, obviously under Coach Gelly's guidance. So we have our personnel department, our recruiting department, I think is fantastic. We have wonderful people. The very beginning stages of this thing, though, I don't think very many people understand the job that Will and JR did as we hit the ground.
Do you think in this day and age of recruiting, it takes more people than it used to get these kids on board?
Sure, it does. I mean, and I don't think that's earth-shattering news. I mean, look, I think that what I do think has changed is the day of every staff has got one superstar recruiter, or the perception that this dude's just a rock star recruiter. It's more than that now. I mean, there's so many different people within the program that are allowed to now interact with the prospects and develop relationships. And what you're really trying to do is when we identify a prospect that we want to be a part of the LSU families, we want to surround them with as many people as possible. So, it's the old thought, well, we've recruited a defensive lineman, so obviously the defensive line coach was the lead recruiter. That's not the case anymore across all the positions. I mean, it's about relationships, and it's about matching personalities, and often, people in the recruiting officers as impactful as any of the coaches are in these relationships.
And, you're coming from a pretty prestigious program, Notre Dame, and you did some great things in recruiting there. What's the biggest difference in the recruiting you've had to do at LSU versus the recruiting you were doing in the past?
Well, there are a couple things, and right, wrong, or indifferent, one's no better than the other. I mean, there's this perception that we've come out and said, hey, look, it's easier to recruit at LSU. I mean, every job's got its own unique set of challenges. The first thing that is different for us here is that we can build this team from a really much tighter footprint. Our last team at Notre Dame, I think, had 32 or 33 states represented on the roster. We literally had guys from New Jersey to Hawaii. That's a wide swath that you're trying to cut there. So, the fact that we can build it from a little bit smaller footprint, I think is significantly different. The flip side of it is that when you recruit down here, I think more often than not you're recruiting against the same people over and over and over again. Whereas at Notre Dame, we might be recruiting against the SEC for a prospect in Atlanta. We're recruiting against the Pac-12 for a prospect out of Los Angeles. We're recruiting against the Big 12 for a lineman out of Colorado, whatever it is. I think we see the same faces over and over again. And again, right, I don't know if that's better or worse. It is. So, there's some things that are unique to this job, just like there's things that are unique to any job.
Yeah. Well, of course, you're recruiting against the same people all day. That means you can use the same negative lines all day. You know all the negative. I'm just kidding,
we talk about us. We talk about us. We don't talk about other people.
So it's funny you mentioned the geography of it, and of course LSU is famous for having some of the best recruiting geography in the country. Do you feel that there's been a transition away from geographical recruiting, particularly with NIL becoming a factor now, but also, this day and age of the internet seems like kids are have been more likely to go afar than they were, say 20 years ago. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's less geographical than it used to be?
Yeah, because I think the world has shrunk. It used to be, I don't want my son to go too far away because I'm going to have a hard time seeing him. Well, now you can FaceTime at home every day and look at your mom and dad. I don't want my son to go too far away because I want to be able to see him play. Well, everybody's on television now. 20 years ago, the market wasn't inundated the way it is with games on television, with ESPN Plus and all the different outlets that you can go find a game. I think it's a little bit easier to travel. I do think Generation Z has grown up with more information at their fingertips than anybody in the history of mankind. So they are a little less fearful about going out and trying some different things. Has NIL affected it? I don't know if we have enough data yet to prove it, but my hunch is yes. Quite honestly. So now, again, none of these things are excuses. I mean, we got to keep the best players in the state at home. And the only way to do that is to build relationships and establish and make it so that they want to be Tigers. But I do think personally that prospects across the country are less fearful of leaving that footprint than they were maybe 20 years ago.
Coach, one thing that stood out for me is, I went to the summer camps this year and the 7-on-7 camps y'all had going on. I believe one of those camps, y'all had about 2,000 kids on campus in a 3-day window. Coach, how do you manage that many kids coming and checking your school? How do you find the ones that are standing out? Like, can you walk me through that process?
Well, it's that's why we have a recruiting department. That's why we have to be as organized as we can possibly be. I mean, the 7-on-7 tournament's a great example. There are a myriad of teams on fields all across our facility and into the intramural fields. And we knew where the prospects were, and we had coaches out looking at games, and everybody had a schedule. And, the month of June now in college football and recruiting is a bear. It is 30, it's 26 straight days of every day there's a prospect or couple prospects on campus, and you're hosting official visit weekends and camps and your own team. And June right now become, essentially a root canal for a college football coach. But I thought that, we handled it as a staff under Coach Kelly's leadership. I thought we handled June really well. I thought our camps were successful. We identified prospects that were, proved themselves worthy of scholarship offers in camps. I thought our official visit weekends went great. And I was quoted in a press conference in April saying, hey, I'm not panicked about the fact that at that point we didn't have a ton of verbal commitments, because I felt like through May being out on the road, June having everybody on campus, that things were going to pick up. And certainly they did in the month of July, and will continue to do so. So I felt like we managed all of that fairly well.
Coach, when it comes to recruiting kickers, of course, those specialists are a little bit different as particularly on the evaluation side, one thing I've always been interested in is when you evaluate these kickers, how much do you rely on, like, these specialists, the Chris Sailors of the world, people, those special kicking camps, how much do you rely on those guys in your evaluation process?
Well, I think when it's done properly, the Chris Sailors and the Corn Blues and Jamie Coles and all those guys, I think they are no different than 24/7 and Rivals and ESPN Recruiting. It's a clearinghouse of information. It's names. It's a place to start. It's lists to work off of. But there's no way that any responsible college football coach would ever offer a quarterback a scholarship without seeing him throw in person. It's the same thing with the specialists. We are never going to offer a specialist a scholarship without having evaluated him in person first. Now, there's always, circumstances that are outliers, but that's the way the process goes. I mean,
Right.
we when we tell you that we're not concerned about stars, that's the truth. I mean, obviously, we look at lists because they provide information. They're data. They're a clearinghouse. But in the end, our evaluation is always going to trump whatever, an expert from the outside, decided a player was valued at. So it's the same thing with the kickers. I mean, we look at those lists, we talk to people, but in the end, we have to make an evaluation. I think back to when we recruited Jay Bramblett to Notre Dame. I knew that year that we were going to have to start a freshman punter. So it was. I spent my entire spring recruiting traveling around the country watching the top punters work out. Jay didn't have the livest leg of all the people I watched. He probably was in the top 5, but what he did have was the most competitive. He was competitive. He was the one I felt like was most prepared to play as a true freshman. And that's why we signed Jay. And then obviously we're lucky enough to have him here as a grad transfer. So that process is a good example of how it works.
And Coach, Peyton Todd was pretty highly recruited coming into LSU. He's known for having a boom leg, but maybe needs to work on some control of that. Is that maybe your only position that doesn't have an intense battle, or are you looking for Peyton Todd to compete with Bay on that punter spot?
No, I mean, everything is earned. It's a meritocracy, so they'll go into training camp and compete. Now, we got 15 practices with Peyton in the spring, which was incredibly valuable, where it was just him, and we were able to focus on some things. And I know, look, it's the same as everything else. I mean, the fans are fans, so hey, this guy had a gigantic leg in high school. Why isn't it working? Well, there's so many things other than that. I mean,
yeah.
The operation, this is the SEC. The people who are rushing us are elite athletes. Operation time and the ability to get the ball out quickly and directional punt and all those things.
Yeah.
And look, Peyton's young, man. He's got a great future in front of him. We're excited that he's a part of the program, and he will compete this camp, no doubt. But he'll be the first to tell you there were things that he needed to get cleaned up, and we're working on those things daily.
And that seems to me, I mean, you got a guy who was a 3-year starter at Notre Dame. That's probably one of the best punting recruits you could have brought in my opinion. But the other spots for the special teams, Coach, you got some work cut out from you. I guess we'll go one by one here. How's that kicker battle looking for you? What are you looking for this fall camp?
Well, consistency, and we're going to try and create as many pressure-filled situations as possible to try and, because it's one thing to kick the ball off the sticks over on the third field while the offense and defense are working. But Coach Kelly and I both agree that we've got to create as many real-life scenarios as we can for these kickers to identify who can handle the situation right now. And Nathan Dibert was committed to Coach McMahon. And by the way, I think the world of Coach McMahon and trust his eyes. And, Nathan's gotten off to a good start since he's arrived in the summertime. we have Zeke Mata, who's been in the program. Damian Ramos has been in the program. And we added a grad transfer from Northwestern by the name of Trey Finnison. And when I tell you that this job is wide open, it's wide open. I mean, this is what training camp's for. Hopefully by practice 13, 14, we'll have an idea who the guys can be so that we can move forward. Dybert's a lefty, which is a little bit unique. So is Mata. So now in terms of the ball handling, it's a little bit different for the holder. You got to flip to the other side. So, hopefully we can get settled on somebody by end of week 2 and know which way we're going. But that battle is wide open. And ultimately, the good thing about evaluating a field goal kicker is that it's not a lot of opinions involved. It either goes through the uprights or it doesn't.
Yeah, it's pretty objective,
Yeah.
Coach, is there a chance that you see one guy who might be your kickoff specialist versus one guy who's your place kicker there, or do you think that that'll be one and the same for you?
No, it's possible. It's possible that it could be a different guy. It's possible it could be the same guy. I think, again, ultimately, we'll just look at what the numbers tell us. And if the best kickoff guy is not the field goal kicker, that's okay. That's not the end of the world. But
right.
Again, the numbers will tell us.
Do you know who has the strongest leg of the guys?
I have some sense, but, that doesn't matter right now.
We're not going to reveal our secrets this early on.
No.
I see. Coach, what about kick returner? Have you got any chance to look at who might field punts, or do you have an idea?
Yeah, we have a good list of guys that we're working off of punt returners, and obviously we had we had Neighbors out there in the spring. We had Besh out there in the spring. We had Hilton out there. And those guys all did a nice job. You're adding some young players, Ibieta. You're adding Javen Nicholas. What can Sage Ryan do? I mean, the whole thing's wide open. And again, we'll hopefully have those things declared out by the second week of camp.
Yeah. You made there was an interesting move on I guess we'll call it the last specialist position we haven't talked about so far. Your long snapper, Quentin Stenner, hits the transfer portal, and in comes Slade Roy from East Carolina. Coach, what was the thought behind bringing Slade Roy in? What does he bring?
Well, when there was some question as to whether or not Quentin wanted to move forward, and by the way, Quentin's a great kid, and we wish him all the best. When there was a question about whether or not he wanted to stay here through the transition, it was clear to us that we needed to go out and get a snapper. I knew who Slade was in his high school years. He got recruited in the COVID year, which was incredibly difficult for every prospect. But for a specialist, that's really hard. Ended up at East Carolina, and when he put himself into the portal, seeking a higher level of competition, we wanted to get involved in that pretty quickly because I knew who he was and believe that he's got elite level talent. Now, he's obviously still young. He took every snap at East Carolina as a true freshman and was very good. So obviously the jump from East Carolina to the SEC is a little bit different, but I trust him. I think he'll be fine. And in the end, I think he's going to be another great one in a place that's had a tradition of having really, really good long snappers. Pros.
Yeah, a lot of them. And it's kind of funny. The last three all came from the same high school. We had two brothers. So for the first time in I believe this makes it 11 years, LSU will have a kicker not from Buford High School, Georgia. But I guess we'll move on into a new era. Slade Roy seems to
Reed Ferguson promised me that it was okay. He told me
I interned with Reed when I was at LSU. He's a real good guy and a real just a standout fella as well. Does a lot of good things, with charity work and stuff like that. I love Reed. He's doing good for Buffalo.
Yep.
Coach, I'm gonna end it. I try to give everybody a bit of a plug, and I thought about, okay, well, how do you give the LSU coach a plug? I'm sure sure people will follow you on Twitter or whatever. Coach, give me your recruiting pitch to any top recruit in the country coming to LSU, why do they come to LSU?
Well, first and foremost, because there's nothing like LSU. I mean, this place is so unique. The fever pitch, the tenacity of the fan base, how fanatical they are. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. And I really believe that the SEC West is the biggest stage in all of college football. Combine that with 103,000 fans in Tiger Stadium and everybody in purple and gold, it's pretty electric. I believe that you can get a really good education here, and I had to learn about that when I arrived. I think there's a little bit of a misnomer that every school in the SEC except for Vanderbilt is just a football factory. The reality of it is, there are only 22 schools in the entire country that are land grant, sea grant, and space grant schools. This is one of them. I mean, elite students can get an elite education here. And then lastly, Louisiana is such a special place. I mean, it really is. And when we've recruited a handful of kids in this class that have come from out of state and they come down here and they talk about the people and how welcoming it is and from the atmosphere. And I felt that in my own family. For me personally, I knew exactly what my life looked like with Coach Kelly, right? I enjoyed my relationship with him. I knew what my role was on the staff. I have great admiration for how successful he's been, and I believe in his process and his program. And then you take Coach Kelly's process, his structure, what he believes in, and you place it here at LSU with this fan base and these resources and this administration and this recruiting footprint. And when I looked at that, I was like, we have to go. We have to be a part of this because this thing is going to culminate in a championship. I know it is. Now, how quickly we get there, time will tell. It's going to take a little bit of time. But I believe in the boss. I believe in what he does. And I believe that when you take his system and put it here at LSU, that we are going to be successful.
Well, there you have it. Any 5-star recruits who happen to be watching, there you go. Come on, LSU's the place for you, Coach. I got so just kind of fascinated just how articulate and the way you break things down. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, Coach. You blocked a lot of punts at Notre Dame. That's not something LSU has really put a lot of emphasis and effort in for the last I don't know, since Jesus was a baby. It feels like here. Coach, is that something you're going to put a lot of emphasis into here at LSU? And if so, what goes into that?
Well, I think you go into every week and you figure out what you can get away with. I also think it depends on who you have back returning. I mean, if you have an elite return guy, if OBJ's back there, I'm not going to be off rushing punts. But I think we go into every week. I think that Coach Kelly does a terrific job of allowing us in the third phase of the game to try and go make a game changer at some point. And we've been able to identify some spots previously where we could put a dude in the right position and create a mismatch and get after somebody. And we've been able to do that. And we'll come in with the same mentality here. I'm excited about our guys here. There's so many good dudes on this team. There's so many guys that are willing and excited, and I think we'll put a good product out there. Well,
there you have it. Blocking punts, assuming we don't have any Odell Beckhams around. LSU's been known to have a few of those guys hanging around, but we'll see. Should be an exciting year for LSU. A lot more new faces than we've seen at LSU in quite a while, and this is one of them that we're all excited to see. Thank you, Brian Polian. Go follow him on Twitter at Brian Polian, a tough Twitter handle to figure out. Y'all go give him a follow. We're going to hear from Tramonte's and we'll be right back.
Tramonte's has meat. Tramonte's has seafood. Tramonte's has much more. Tailgating and homegating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tramontes.com.
And thank you to Brian Polian for joining the show. I appreciate him helping us kick off the season the right way, looking at special teams, recruiting efforts. Of course, Brian Polian is a jack of all trades, as you can see. He's a bright up-and-coming coach. He's a guy I expect will very likely be a head coach somewhere in the not-too-far future. You just hear the organization, leadership, that kind of stuff. I expect some good things out of him. So I'm interested to hear y'all's feedback here. You saw a lot of things were open. He kept a few cards up his sleeve. That kicker competition is going to be really tight. I thought it was funny. He named Malik Neighbors as a guy he's thinking about. Reading in between the lines, I couldn't help but notice that he was pointing out that about blocking kicks. Well, you don't really necessarily put as much effort into blocking a kick when you got Odell Beckham back there. So does he think he has Odell Beckham back there? I don't know. We'll see. But LSU's been known to put together some pretty solid returners. I think overall on special teams, LSU should be solid. The kicker battle is one where I'm worried just because I don't know. Nathan Dibert is the guy who I think most people are kind of looking at, but you've got a lot of other talented guys in that competition. We'll have to see. I do expect that they're going to be organized. They're going to have their ducks lined up and avoid a lot of mistakes. I do think that they're going to find some elite talent to run back kicks because, quite frankly, that's what LSU does. There's a lot, the fast guys who can put the ball in their hands in some open space and make some plays. That is LSU. And if you can play discipline on top of that, you should have some pretty good special teams. Of course, Bramblett, Jay Bramblett, bringing him in. I mean, what better name could you ask for? You need a punter. Okay, let's bring in a guy who's been a 3-year starter for Notre Dame and improved every single year. He doesn't have a booming leg, but he's been pretty darn accurate. About 43 yards a kick last year at Notre Dame, and he's familiar with the coaching staff. Man, what a win for that. What a win for that. So I'm expecting special teams. Special teams very likely could be LSU's strongest unit based on how good that kicker is. Like I said, the kicker is the one spot I'm truly worried about. Let's see. Do we have any comments? Let's see here. It's easy for the staff to really knows how to evaluate players. We should be technically sound. That I tend to agree. I hope we see that. Awesome interview. Thank you, Preston. Appreciate you. Appreciate y'all's support watching. Nice interview. I appreciate that. Now, I do want to take some time to support our sponsor. Got a cool sponsor, of course. We have Dead Soxy. So remember that box I teased earlier? This like incredibly fancy package, Dead Soxy on it. We're gonna open these socks and figure out what they got for us this season. I'm excited. I'm probably not gonna do a sock reveal every week on the show, but I will do one for y'all tonight because I'm kind of excited myself. So let's see. All right. Oh, look, we got looks like some Mardi Gras socks, some Saint socks. I'm gonna pull them out. All right, Mardi Gras fleur-de-lis. LSU fleur-de-lis. God, these are so soft, y'all. Oh, man. These are some nice socks. Let's see. You got the Mardi Gras mask there. Of course, we got, this look like the old school, old 1900s football scrimmage socks. Purple and gold. We got the stripes here. Classy. And of course, looks like we got the Saints or the black and gold collection. We can't say official teams or anything like that, but yeah, look, quality socks. I think LSU, Louisiana fans would have an interest in all of those. They're very comfortable. They have the non-stick little bumps in it to where it doesn't go down your leg. There's silicone dots. It's a patented technology, or sorry, it's a featured technology that they have on these socks that keep it from sliding down your leg. It's really cool. And of course, look, they even sent me the footies. So if you like, the athletic socks or just normal dress socks, they have all sorts of stuff at Dead Soxy. So hopefully that wasn't hopefully that was somewhat interesting to y'all. Gotta do the read off. Of course, you can use the code TigerBait on their site to get 25% off your order. Dead Soxy is ready for some football. To celebrate the return of our favorite pastimes, Dead Soxy is giving you an opportunity to score a free pair. Visit DeadSoxy.com and fill out the form to get started. By signing up, you'll be alerted when new styles drop and receive information about exclusive promotion. Don't forget, visit the Team Colorways page. Choose the color combination you are interested in looking for to celebrate your favorite team. The link in this show and the description for on our website at TigerBait.com, of course, comes with that link set to gold for you already. But maybe you have some other colors you're interested in. You can pick that there. Check out with code TigerBait to receive 25% off your order, and let them know where you came from TigerBait.com. All right, we're gonna end. We're coming here to the final stretch of our show. I do have one more sponsor I'm gonna introduce at the very end here, but I'm gonna get to your questions here. I'm gonna kind of open it up. You've kind of heard my special teams breakdown. You've heard the special teams coach. Let's hear from you. Chris Hilton would be a dangerous kickoff returner. And look, Kevin, I totally agree with you. Totally. I think I know you, Kevin Burke. I think I've crossed paths with you. If the same Kevin Burke I'm thinking of. But anyways, good guy, Kevin Burke. But yeah, no, Chris, he absolutely would be. We saw him flash that potential into Texas Bowl. And the fact of the matter is, with this receiving core, I could see some talented guys get buried. And that's a guy I could see really, really getting a chance to still make a name for himself. Man, Brian is an intelligent guy, man. I concur on that, Holden Lee. You can tell he's a detailed guy, especially the little things. Great interview. Thank you, Holden. Appreciate you being here to support it. Y'all remember, if y'all enjoyed the interview, like, comment, share, super chat. That's how you support me and make the Google gods that own this platform happy by improving the algorithm. Let's see. Great interview. Thank you. No, thank you, Edo. Do we have two Edward O's, or did Edward O rebrand himself on here? Who is the next interview? Well, I'm hoping to do a defensive preview next week. We'll see. I'm gonna try to find someone interesting and have a good take. It might be hard to top Coach Polian, but what's interesting about Brian Kelly is he's letting coaches and players brand themselves more than previous coaching staffs have. So I'm hoping to get either a good team leader or want someone on that staff, or hopefully someone maybe an outsider who can give really good evaluation. We'll see. Hey, Preston. Hey, Mick. What's up? This is my grandma in the chat. What's up, Grandma? Wanda Littlefield. Great interview. Can't wait for your next one. She loves the socks. Oh, thank you. Let's see. Zachary H. Yeah, maybe that reference just went over my head. Let's see here. I wanted to know from Coach Polian if LSU was going to hit the transfer portal hard again. James Phillips, good question. I'm going to tell you, based off of what I know, this coaching staff prefers not to use the transfer portal. LSU was in a unique situation this year where the cupboard was bare. They didn't have anything coming back to LSU. They had to completely restock from scratch. That's why they hit that transfer portal so hard. Brian Kelly, Brian Polian, Frank Wilson, all those guys, they prefer to do it in the recruiting, which they're hitting the recruiting trail pretty hard. Got 16 commitments for the class of 2022 already. They're currently ranked the 10th class in the country with room to grow. I'm looking forward to Shelton Sampson, 5-star receiver out of Catholic High. We'll see where he goes. Of course, Shelton Stays was trending on Twitter. I expect LSU will have a very good chance on him. So we have two Edward O's. Okay, all right. And we got Coach O as well, who's also an Edward O. So no rebrand for Edward O, just another Edward O. ZHS alum, live in Slidell now. Dad was coach at. Thanks for the chat. Appreciate you, Kevin Burke. Let's see. My alleged not relative of mine, Trey Guy. Let's see here. Can you get Coach Hankton? I really like him. Cortez Hankton. I'd love to have Cortez Hankton on my show eventually. I'll try to see what I can do to make that happen. It's a long season. We're going to have 26 shows this year. So we'll see if I can fit him in one of those 26. I'd be ecstatic to have him. I'm going to introduce our final sponsor here. I'm very excited to introduce. This is a sponsor I have used for 20 plus years, right? And it is Celebrity Theater with locations in Baton Rouge, Broussard, and Ruston. So that's like basically the 3 out of 4 of the biggest LSU markets. So you probably, if you're watching this show, you're probably within a driving distance to one of these. Now, what's special about Celebrity Theater, they're locally owned and operated, and they're the only theater in these locations that are locally owned and operated, not corporately owned. Because these are locally owned and operated with boots on the ground here in Louisiana, the owners are here. They go see the theaters. You're guaranteed a clean facility, better pricing, superior customer service, and state-of-the-art technology as well. Sometimes you think technology, you think big corporations. No, dude. Celebrity Theater's got that on lock. If you've been to the one in Baton Rouge, anybody who's been to the Celebrity in Baton Rouge, I want you to pipe in the chat and tell me what you think, because it is a fancy theater now. They have an invigorating arcade with more than 50 games there. It's the largest in town. I can't wait for the kid to come to town so I can take him when he grows up there, because that is an awesome arcade. They actually have a bar featuring wine, beer, and frozen drinks. They have like frozen daiquiris. I love grabbing, a frozen Jack and Coke there. It's pretty cool. It seems like we're kind of in the future here with movie theaters. They also have those reclining, relaxing theater chairs, the oversized leather reclining seats. Y'all, quite frankly, I don't go to a theater anymore unless they have one of those. I've just gotten so spoiled. I can't do it if they don't have one. They have the Dolby Atmos sound. Me and Mike went to the Top Gun with that, and it felt like you were inside the jet. It is incredible sound. Y'all go check it out. They do weekly promotions. You can see there, Senior Savings, Bargain Tuesday, College Night. All of those are pretty darn good. You can call to set up your next event, whether it's a birthday party, family gathering, whatever it may be, corporate event, company thing, events at celebritytheaters.com. Support a locally owned theater. All right. Thank you to Celebrity Theaters. I am so excited to have a good set of sponsors. All three are very high quality products, services that I consume myself. Like I use. I'm not going to take a sponsor who like I wouldn't use or enjoy using. Let's see, Ant. Celebrity Theater in Ruston is night. Yep, got to represent that 318, Ant. Ant's a good guy, man. Played against him in high school. Good guy. I love, he does his podcast over there. What is it? Man, I look, and this is not because I don't know it. It's just because I blank on names. Anybody who watches this show, Golden Boot Podcast. There it is. GEAUX Golden Boot Podcast. Make small podcasts great again. There's Ant. Good guy. Let's see here. Hey, Preston, when Buddy has a date on Wednesday nights, why don't you join Mike? Would be a great show. That's Edward O. Got the crabs. That's a good question. I do the post-game show with Mike, and it's a pretty good thing going. But in general, the vibe has been those midweek shows. Just, he likes doing them with Buddy, and Buddy sometimes gets his hot dates. Sometimes he gets his wisdom teeth pulled. Sometimes he's got some random stuff going on, and Mike's just fine doing it by himself. And I can focus on my stories or the writing I do for TigerBait.com instead on that night. Kevin Burke, the super sticker. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate your support. Thank you for supporting the podcast. I appreciate everybody for watching tonight. Ooh, man, this is a very good question here. Is there a competition for that center spot? Or is it Charles Turner? I will say yes. I don't think that Charles Turner has it that locked down. There's a number of guys I could see sliding into that. I mean, quite a number of guys. We're just going to have to see. I expect there will be an open competition for that spot. And I'll go ahead and say on offense, I expect that's on, especially the offensive line. That's the one position that gives me the most concern, is that center spot. Sometimes Buddy has dinner at Taco Bell on Wednesdays. Oh man, yeah. Sometimes Buddy does that Taco Bell, and he's out. That's why I avoid Taco Bell basically. If it's not, Sunday watching the same game, just stay away, man. You got a show, you got to perform, man. You got to be committed to the podcast. You can't be going to Taco Bell. That's a risky move. All right, guys. Look, I'm gonna plug Tramonte's one more time here. And if you have any questions, get them in here in the next couple minutes. I'm guaranteed I'll talk to any comment you leave here in the next 2-3 minutes. I will get to. But in the meantime, I'm gonna give my people Tramonte's a plug. Of course, they have your ribeye rolls, your wagyu meat, all the good specialty meats for the grill. They do your tailgating, homegating. They are your tailgating and homegating headquarters for the 2022 season. You can do your catering there and impress anybody for any event, for any reason, especially your football games. It's something, almost any item on their menu is going to be really done really well with that good, South Louisiana flair to it, man. It's gonna turn some heads, raise some eyes. Y'all stay tuned to their social media on Facebook. They do have a meat sale coming this month. I'll keep you posted as those details come out. It's a great way to do. Y'all know the phrase. I think I had a commenter say it. Good meat ain't cheap. Cheap meat ain't good. Y'all know how that goes. This meat sale is a good opportunity to get some of those good high quality steaks that you can stockpile them, and you can you freeze them, whatever you got to do, and you get them for a better price. So the meat sales it's wildly popular, y'all. I'm telling you, it is a true madhouse there. So if you want to impress some people with some good Tramonte's, there's your chance. Let's hear from them, and I'll be right back getting to your comments.
Tramonte's has meat. Tramonte's has seafood. Tramonte's has much more. Tailgating and homegating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tramontes.com.
Buddy has no problem performing. Well, we just discussed if there's the Taco Bell, there's some problems, aren't there? No, Buddy's a good guy, man. You know what's cool about that show with Mike and Buddy? You don't realize it because they're both kind of just, I don't know, man. You don't think they've done it as long as they have because they just crack so many jokes and they act so just invigorated and young, sure. But those guys are pushing on 60 years combined experience. That's pretty cool when you're watching that show. So you got to stay tuned for TigerBait Wednesday nights, of course Tuesday nights. You got your LSU Football Fix, and then we're going to be doing all our post-game shows throughout the year. Hopefully doing some cool stuff with that. Golden Boot Pod. Hey, Preston, now that you're a real podcaster again, we'll have to invite you on the show again. All right, Pooh Bear. I'm gonna go all Bane on you here. You were raised in the podcast world, but by the time I had gotten here, I was born in it. Like I've been doing this for a while. Let's calm down, Pooh Bear. But yeah, I'd love to do y'all's show again. Wasn't I your first guest? I believe I was your first guest, if I'm not mistaken. It's funny. I think I have a knack for being like the first guest on so many small podcasts. Just guys reach out to me, and I try to have a policy where, sure, I'll help you out, man, because there was once upon a time where Preston was an unknown commodity, and I just needed people to hit that retweet or do whatever to get some attention before I got pulled into TigerBait, because I got noticed for TigerBait off of Twitter. And I certainly appreciate that. So I appreciate all y'all's. Oh man, I'm trying to ban this user here, and I keep on putting them on the screen instead. But anyways, we'll take care of that later. All right, guys, look, appreciate y'all for watching the show tonight. Thank you for all the super chats. Like, comment, share before you head out of here. Get the algorithm gods on my side. Thank you. Y'all have a great night.